Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kind for being part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. How's everybody doing? I trust everybody's doing just fine. Melanie Keelan is in the house from Barcelona, Spain. E2247 is in the house. We also have Bridge MCP from upstate New York. And con nosotros también está el señor Lee Grant. Lee Grant is here from Montgomery County. And, of course, we have the one and only Bruce Pollard. Bruce Pollard. No sound, me or you? I think it's you. I'm looking at the signals going, so I think it's you. Anybody have any problems hearing me right now? I don't think so. Michael Rutland is in the house. Kittens running around, hyperactive as usual. Audio, video, good. According to AVQ, so check your sound system, my dear brother. Bruce Pollard in the house as well is Yvette Avery Herod, who came in right after AVQ. Man, that was quick. That was quick. Sound on the tube. Sound on the tube. I hope the sound finally made it to the tube. Anyway, folks, we're going to have a great show for you today. How's everybody doing? It seems like Ilhan Omar did what she does best, which is just tell some truths to folks who don't want to hear it. And, so we're going to kind of cover that as well. But how about that? U.S. strike wave could soon grow. When I saw this headline, I couldn't have been happier. Let me put it up on the screen. U.S. strike wave could soon grow. Airline health workers fight for decent contracts. The nationwide U.S. strike wave that has seen hundreds of thousands of auto workers, screenwriters, actors, hotel workers, baristas, and others walk off the job to win better wages and benefits could soon get even bigger as tens of thousands of flight attendants and Kaiser Permanente employees prepare to take action amid stalled contracts talks. We are not alone. The Association of Professional Flight Attendants, APFA, which represents more than 26,000 American airline flight attendants, told its members in an update on contract negotiations earlier this week. Our struggle is part of a large struggle by working people starting against corporate greed. Auto workers are on strike against the big three, as are actors and screen. Look, remember what's going to happen now. Now that people are realizing their worth. Remember, we always talk about you must accept, you must demand your worth. You have to know your worth. And now that people are starting to assert their worth, be careful. The corporations are going to try to hit back and try to, if we're going to pay more or have to pay more, whatever, we're going to lower employment. This is where the solidarity of people must come in. This is where we penalize any company that tries to penalize their workers, and we can do it. We showed that in the pandemic. But it is time, that these people cannot see right now the thuggery that occurs when you continuously give yourself, the executives and the shareholders, all this cash being produced by the people, and somehow their wages are stagnating for no reason other than all the spoils have constantly gone up to the top. And because for too long people have been scared to assert their worth, for too long people have not been saying, I want that pay, they got away with it. Well, it's all of us are stakeholders. All of you are stakeholders. And they cannot exist without you. You cannot exist without their having a company to work for, assuming you don't want to work for yourself. So everybody are stakeholders. Nobody has a majority stake. We have to remember that. All right, Egberto, I remember my first time home to Ireland. The entire country went on strike. We were stranded at the airport till a taxi guy spoke with my mom and took us to a B&B. So kind, as we were one of them, entire country, and they got what they wanted. That is something that I want to work on. I want a whole lot of us to get started. In other words, I want these individuals strike for people that are doing things right. I want them to work on their contracts, get in better contracts. But I want the country as a whole to be prepared to support the workers. And the day the oligarchy tries to penalize the workers for having the gall to ask for deserved raises, I want a national strike. And I think there are a lot of us have been talking about that in the activist community for some time now. But it is something that we must do or be prepared to do, a national strike. We'll have it strategic, of course. Doctors and we'll work with doctor organizations, etc., for these essentials not to go on strike. But for everything else that moves the economy, we have to be ready to let them feel pain for having caused us pain for all this time. Okay, so get ready, folks. There have been discussions about national strikes. I'm glad you brought that up, Bridge MCP. Okay, let me start reading some of your verbiage right now. We have come in from E2247. Welcome, E2247. He says, sustaining culture in times of current and past conflicts, in honoring International Day of Peace experience, sustaining culture in times of current and past conflicts. All right, what else we got here? What else we got here? Yvette Avery Herod said, flowing good on FB. Great. I'm glad that's flowing good on FB. Let's see what else we got here. Lee Grant says, we need to pay attention to the border. A growing wave of migration that has been building at the U.S.-Mexico border for the past few months is exploding in this small Texas city, Eagle Pass. Mayor Rolando Salinas Jr. declared a state of emergency as thousands of migrants are entering daily, overwhelming the resources of federal labor border agents and the community's only shelter. About 3,000 migrants crossed into Eagle Pass on Wednesday and another 3,000 on track to enter Thursday, said U.S. Representative Tony Gonzalez, who represents the city in Congress. He said the Border Patrol estimates that by Friday, 10,000 migrants will have illegally entered Eagle Pass in a week. We are at a pace for this to be the worst of the border crisis yet. And we've seen some doozies, the Republicans said. Look, we have a border crossing crisis. There's no doubt about that. There are a lot of people that are overwhelming the border. I have no doubt about that. The question is, how do we handle it? What we should do, first of all, is work on something that the vice president was working on, and that is work in these countries that the problem is arising from. It is cheaper for us to go out to Honduras, Venezuela, Colombia, Haiti, and all these places and release a few $1 million. A few $1 million to folks that are attempting to leave, because they are leaving for, a lot of people are leaving for violence, they say, but a lot of times it's really economic reasons. And the economic reasons are really because these guys are at an economic disadvantage with the rest of the world. So what we have to do is think outside of the box. In other words, we don't wait for the migration to come to the United States. We can start doing a whole lot of things. A lot of people want to get to the United States because they think that, look, the funny thing about the United States is that the promised land isn't all that promise when many of them get here. Yes, most people eventually get a job or something, a substandard job, etc. But what we have to do is continue the work of what Kamala was doing, let's say in Guatemala, Nicaragua, Honduras, and these places. And the job is to mitigate the problem there. But you have to invest in that. We have a Republican Congress now that cannot think outside of the box. In fact, even their own operatives, their own Republican operatives think that they're too stupid to govern. Not my words, his words. I'm going to play that in a second, but let me continue reading Lee Grant's piece. No, I read Lee Grant's already. And now we have AVQ saying E22, nice articles. Antonio Gutierrez. Oh, wait a minute. Before that, Bruce says, got it. Saw Gabby Gifford's new documentary and met her. It's worth your time. I will take a look at it. Bruce, you got to give me the links of how I can watch it. Please send it. In fact, send it to the entire group. One other thing, Bruce, did you get any pictures with her? Did you get any videos with her? I hope you did. Let me know as we scroll down. E22 says, nice article. Antonio Gutierrez, United Nations Secretary General, said, peace is needed today more than ever. War and conflict are unleashing devastation, poverty, and hunger, and driving tens of millions of people from their homes. Climate chaos is all around, and even peaceful countries are gripped by gaping inequalities and political polarization. That is because of the economic system that we have. Our economic system is predicated on having an underclass. Our economic system is predicated on abusing others. That's just our economic system. That's what we stand for. That is how profit is gained in the form in which we gain it. All right, let's see. UN, what else have we got here? We have Bridge says, Egberto, I read that one already. Michael says, hello, Lee Grant, your fear of outsiders is a very definition of xenophobia. To be clear, a lesser people do not live outside our borders. Used to be that we had open borders without problems. People would come here, work, take their earnings, go back home, and then come back to work again when they need more. Putting up a wall meant they couldn't go back home when they were gone. None. Now I'd wonder what kind of problems you might be worried about. Terrorism? They don't come by caravan. They come by plane. Crime? Native-born Americans commit more crime at over twice the rate of immigrants and refugees. Cheap labor? Good. Our farms need them. Look, Rudnin, that is sensible thinking. The problem is the places that Lee Grant and Ledo and Eric Hayes get things from, especially being, and I say this with love, especially being white men. To some extent, what a lot of white men have been taught to fear is that somebody is coming to take their position. That is why, if you listen to They Won't Replace Us and all these white nationalist movement, that's a fear that they instill in you. Somebody else is coming and take what's yours. The funny thing about it is, if you discount race, because race is a stupid thing, why would you just be concerned about these kind of brown and black folks coming to take your thing if you're not concerned with the Russian flying in, with the Canadian crossing the border? All of those things have the same effect on you. And the danger here is that they attach race to it. And once you attach race to it, you get irrational thinking and irrational behavior, because at that point, the animal instinct comes in. The animal instinct that says the way we discern danger are for things that are moving that don't necessarily look nearly identical to us. And that is what society need to get out of the gene pool, right? Because it had some validity when they were not societies. But the validity of that sort of stuff has no meaning right now. Like I said, race is a stupid thing. It doesn't really quite exist other than the things that we determine by race. In other words, pigmentation is the stupidest thing by which to determine differences in people, right? The fact that I could give brother Bruce Pollard, my white brother here in a chat, a kidney, and likely his brother wouldn't be able to give him one, explain what the gene pool looks like. My daughter the other day gave me an explanation about all of that, where she said, Dad, people don't realize how silly things like race really is. And we went through the whole biology and genealogy, genetics and that sort of stuff, where should we discuss that. Anyhow, continuing. Daniel Ledo says, meanwhile, outside Egberto's Marxist bubble, it sure sucks to be Armenian in Azerbaijan right now. Well, what's going on is the rest of the world are so concerned with and you're right about this though, Daniel Ledo. The world is so concerned right now about Ukraine that the Armenian problem right now is really hard in Nagorno-Karabakh and Azerbaijan and all, so yes, I understand the problem, and that isn't because of Ukraine. We would not be talking about Azerbaijan even if Ukraine wasn't going on, because that's just how we are. You're talking about Azerbaijan. I could talk about Sudan. I could talk about Niger. I could talk about all these other countries where some sort of genocide is occurring right now, and our news cover none of it. None of it. We are just news deprived in this country because we don't care. We only care about places where we probably could get some sort of a natural resource. Otherwise, we don't give a damn. There's a lot of stuff happening in a lot of other countries, and Azerbaijan isn't the Armenians in Azerbaijan isn't the majority of things. In fact, do remember, I gave you guys a documentary from the writer of, I don't remember his name right now, that one person came and said, Egberto, you're putting on propaganda. I was just telling their story. Just telling their story. Anyway, but actually, so Daniel Edo, in as much as you attempted to attack me there, you are right in that we should be paying attention to Azerbaijan as well. All right. But he says, Michael Rodnan, Lee Grant, your fear. Oh, I read that one already. Continuing. Michael says, I've been talking about a national general strike the last time that occurred. I took a day off work and looked for picket lines to join. A one-day thing. It did nothing that time except place a seed for the next time around. Yeah, but what we need to do is not have a one-day strike. We need to say we need to have a purpose. We need to make it purposeful, more so than a one-day thing. Let's see. Michael Rodin says, I always watch Egberto's live stream on Twitch because it's about 10 seconds faster than Facebook. Stream for some reason, and I have no idea why Facebook is on delay. I also prefer Twitch over YouTube because of the 500 character limit rather than 200 characters. Thanks for teaching me that. I didn't quite know that. Egberto Kamala didn't do squat, is incapable. You keep believing how incapable. A lot of times folks who try to go against folks like Kamala or whatever, they're doing it they're playing. Well, I won't go there, but you can keep thinking how inept she is, right? She's a whole lot more inept than you are, of course, because again, her success rate I think is pretty damn good, right? All right, let's see what else we got here. Hey, Maywood, welcome to Politics and Right, sir. We also have. I think I should read Maywood's answer to Michael. It says, "Oh no, that was a reply." Okay, continuing. The administration already screwed up everything, and she wasn't doing crap. No. The administration didn't screw up anything. We have to remember that the policy from Trump was pretty much crap, and it didn't solve a darn thing. And actually, for quite a while, our transfer rates was much less than under Trump. So let's compare the right things and not what you hear from your misinformation machine. All right. Eric says it was already closed, but now it's wide freaking open. That's not true at all. And now you got my pissed off, and now you got New York pissed off. And I hope all remembered at voting time. In New York, it's not New York that's pissed off. It's Republicans in New York pissed off with a neoliberal mayor. Okay, let's remember that. A neoliberal mayor that AOC had to remind him who he is. Thank you, AOC, in fact, for doing that. Daniel Edo says Egberto's immigration solution is not to plug the leak, but give money to understand why there is a leak. Meanwhile, the house is flooded. If you think the house is flooded, you haven't been to any farms lately who are begging for employees, right? We have the farmers that are begging for workers, the construction workers, the construction industry in Florida after the stupid stunts by the governor of New York, DeSantis. Now their building is faltering, and you're going to talk about we're flooded? Again, it would be nice if you guys just kind of learn to do a little bit of numbers. It'll be helpful. It'll prevent a lot of people from looking less intelligent than they are. Come on. Eric K says, rather than Egberto think that people are only relegated to low-type jobs as you automatically think that that's a class of people. Shame on you. No, that's not what we said at all. In fact, a lot of people coming from Venezuela are engineers and otherwise, but a lot of people also coming over are peasants that want to work on the farm. There's nothing wrong with being a peasant working on the farm, and there's nothing wrong with being an engineer. And to tell you the truth, I did all these jobs. I swept floors, washed dishes. I did everything. It's good. It's good. It's good. All right. Let's see what else we got here. British MCP says they do instill that fear, but Americans wouldn't do the jobs they do. So what are they fair in picking veggies? Egberto, you discern danger by whatever reasons to why? Eric Hayes, listen to the show. You'll get it. All right. Lee Grant says there's no danger in immigration. Why did the Eagle Pass mayor proclaim a state of emergency? Because he's overwhelmed. How do you take care of 3,000 people in one day? You can't. You cannot take care of all these people in one day. Daniel Edo says, listen to the racist. He thinks just being white makes you inculcated with white supremacist ideology. He's a racist. No, if that is what you heard me say, I think you're either racist or you have an inferiority complex, or maybe both. I don't know. You tell me. Egberto, you are helping me gratefully today for this time together. Wopida. Love you, E2247. Love you, brother. Mike Cisak says, New York City folks are up in arms over the mass influx of illegal aliens who are getting pampered by the city and federal government. Now their jobs are in jeopardy since these illegals are also getting immediate work visas illegally. No? It's funny. If the government pays for them, they're getting something free. So Biden says, okay, let's go ahead and give these guys work visas so that they can earn their keep. And now they say, oh, he's giving them visas illegally. You can't win. And Democrats need to learn this. You cannot win when it comes to MAGA. You cannot win when you're dealing with inhumane people. Therefore, just do the humane thing, and everything else will fall into place. Do not create policies based on what MAGA wants you to develop. Develop policies that are inherently humane, and then everything would fall into place. Trust me. Let's treat people with honor, and things will just fall into place. All right. Whoa, you guys are writing today, but let's see. Because they shipped them, let's see what else we got. See. All right. I tell you what, I'm going to play the first video to show you what a Republican strategist had to say about Republicans in Congress. And I think for all practical purposes, he nailed it. Republican strategist Rick Tyler, he nails it. Listen to what he had to say about his cohort in Congress.
Rick, what do you make of the way that Kevin McCarthy is handling this?
I think Kevin McCarthy has to decide whether he's going to be in charge, and he should have made very clear to the conference that he is in charge, instead of appeasing a handful of people. I mean, think about this. A handful of people can keep the government from funding our military, our Pentagon defense bill, which keeps all Americans safe, and they're going to shut that down. McCarthy is dealing with people, and I think Lawler had it right, although I think he was nice calling it a clown show. McCarthy is dealing with people that are frankly not smart enough to be in Congress. Well, sorry, let me take that back. They're too stupid to be in Congress. They don't understand the process. They don't understand the procedure. They don't understand what's at place. And when this is maniacally simple, I'm for getting government under control and having less spending. But when you don't have the votes, and politically, you have to go out in an election and get more people who are willing to vote your way and get the American people to see things your way. Instead, they're going to shut down the government. And what that says to every American is Republicans who are in charge, do not know how to govern. And going into an election with a shutdown where you don't know how to govern is a losing message. I can't think of a single shutdown that's ever happened in modern history that has benefited the Republicans, where we came out of the shutdown better off than we were before. So McCarthy better get control of this. He better figure out all the levers that he has to make sure that we do not have a shutdown. But right now, if you can't pass a defense authorization bill, what can you pass?
And if there is any doubt what other Republicans think about the current crop of Republicans that are populating the House and many other MAGA areas, one could not say it any better. The fact that we have our country in the hands of people like this doesn't speak poorly as poorly for those who are in Congress as it does for what has happened to those who elected them. We have a lot of work to do to start educating folks, because the machine that has indoctrinated the minds of many, sadly, that is to blame for having a Congress that simply can't perform. And you know who loves it? The wealthy. You know who loves it? The oligarchy. Because out of chaos, they can take it all. And guess what? That's what they're doing. That is exactly what they're doing. That is exactly what they are doing. Let's see what else. Bridge MCP says, because they ship them here and we try to take care of them, it's our INS that needs updating. You are absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Mike Cisak says, Bridge MCP, no! The laws for immigrations are there. They just aren't being enforced by the administration in violation of their oaths of office. You mean oaths of office to support such laws. Look, we need a revamp of the Immigration Naturalization Service completely. So we need to make it an honest policies for that, which we have not. We've had to modify that several times. Everybody with anybody, any thinking person understands that our immigration system needs a complete rebuild to really support our country and the needs of our country and the needs of supporting our international laws with how we handle refugees and all of that. We need a completely new revamp. All right, let's see. Bridge MCP says New York has many immigrants here. They work the farms, not the suit jobs. Let's see what else we got here. We also have Bridge says the laws may be there, not the people needing to do the paperwork. And replying to Bridge, Maywood says, actually, it's not that the Americans won't do the work. It's that it's against the law to make people work under the conditions that they make the migrants work under, done field and stoop labor. And it's just that Americans want better pay and safer working conditions, not to mention better living conditions. Actually, Brother Wood points out an important thing. And an ice cream shop proved that when they did an experiment. There was an ice cream shop that was advertising, I think this was in Pennsylvania. They were and he told the story, that's why I remember it. And it turns out that he wanted to hire workers for his shop. It cost them, he was advertising a minimum wage of $7.95. He couldn't get any applicants into his store. He immediately went to $15 an hour, from $7.95 to $7.25 to $15. He got 1,000 applications. I mean, if you pay, the funny thing about it is capitalists always talk about supply and demand. If you have a shortage, you pay more, all that good stuff, right? But when it comes to employees, they never want to pay what the market will bear, what the market wants. But they believe in the market, right? They only believe in the market when they can get a deal. We got to understand that this is a failed system, a completely failed economic system. And the only reason it continues to stand up is that enough people are doing sufficiently well, and enough people are working so damn hard. They don't have a time for what again, Michael Radnin? Our few days of national strike. But we'll get it together soon. We'll get it together. All right, let's see what we got here. What else we got here? Mike Cisak says, Bridge MCP, actually they'll work a lot jobs that union members usually get. Now Biden administration is screwing them over just like they screw conservatives over. Oh boy. Again, the fear. Okay. Eric thinks what I'm saying is word salad, but then again, he never tells me specifically what I say that's wrong. And you know why? Because what I'm saying is not wrong. What I'm saying is accurate and correct. Daniel Edo says, Egberto's ignorance. I want to read it correctly. Egberto's ignorance on sharp display yet again. Absolutely the problem in Azerbaijan would not be happening if Russia was not distracted in Ukraine. Okay, so you are partially right on that, but not only that, but you're saying if Russia was not preoccupied with Ukraine, they would take care of it. Well, why the hell is Russia preoccupied with Ukraine? What the hell are they doing in Ukraine? It's not their territory. Let Russia be Russian. Let Ukraine be Ukraine. We had international borders. They invaded. They invaded and took they invaded and took Crimea. They invaded and took the what is it called? I don't remember the cuts that they took out. So if that's your concern, don't talk about us. Go talk to Russia. But even further than that, like I mentioned before, you were so distracted with your response. There are many other countries that much worse things are happening, not than what the Armenian issue in Azerbaijan. We can go to Mali, we can go to Niger, we can go to a lot of places where there are problems. We can go to parts of Indonesia. There are a lot of problems all over. So if you really want to be concerned, ask your newspaper to make you a bit more aware so that you won't just go on to the things that your right-wing sources would like you to think about without looking at the world as a whole. All right. Para ver. Michael Ron says, Berto, conservatives love playing the victim, especially when they and theirs are the aggressors. They are not victims. They're either snowflakes. I'm talking about the whiners, either snowflakes or you know what the other word is. All right, Eric says, Berta, have you been south or do you have an AV? These are actual experiences which you speak on with no experience. No, I don't have an AV because right now I cannot afford an EV. I think you mean an EV, not an AV. You did say EV. I can't afford an EV right now, okay? But as soon as my finances get mejorado, when I get better finances, I will be driving an EV. When I get better finances, I will have solar cells on my roof. Hopefully by then they'll even be cheaper. So no, Eric, I am talking not because I can't afford to do it now, means that others who can shouldn't. Not because I can't afford to do it now means that I don't support government policies that would make it easier for all of us to all have EVs, all have photovoltaic cells on the ceiling. That's what policy is all about. Policy is about doing these things. The problem with conservatives, conserve, is a backward mentality that the people who you follow instill in your minds, not moving forward, not making changes. That is what we should be working at. All right. Michael Renza Egberto, when you point out that conservatives are doing, they invariably clutch your pearls and pretend they are being attacked. Yep, that's common modus operandi. Let's see, Bridge MCP say, yeah, play a video so the writers will get pissed off. I just did, beautiful. I just did. All right, Eric Hayes says, Michael says, Eric Hayes MAGA hats are the rhinos. Republicans have the same, have been the same from Reagan era until the Tea Party invasion in 2010. After 2010, that's when rhinos shifted the Republican Party into the right-wing extremism. Exactly. All right, Michael Rodden also says, rant incoming. Michael, am I going to have to read your entire rant? I will. This is common thread among all conservatives. They're blind to their own hypocrisy as well as the hypocrisy of anyone they think of as their team. But they are keenly aware of it whenever they think one of their opposition is acting hypocritically. To them, hypocrisy is solely a talking point to score political advantage against any enemies as part of their politics is a team sports mentality, and they don't care about policy consistency so long as they remain in power and wield that power against their perceived enemies. You understand the game now? Good. And it's worse, right? Let's look at Wisconsin. They are attempting to impeach a judge that received over 55%. I think it was something like 60% of the vote. About 60% of the vote, people elected the Supreme Court justice in Wisconsin. And now they're trying to impeach her because they're scared that she's going to look at the gerrymander district and say, well, this is unconstitutional. So to keep their power, they want to use their ill-gained supermajority to control, continue illegal control. Remember, Wisconsin is a light blue state. There are more Democrats in Wisconsin than Republican. I'm talking Democrat voting people than Wisconsin. Look at who they elect as governor. Look at who they elect as lieutenant governor. Look at who they elect as one of their senators. They are a Democratic state. But the Republicans, they don't want that. Even a landslide victory isn't enough for them. They want to, and look at what they did, and I think it was Michigan. No, it wasn't Michigan. It was another state. they got rid of the nonpartisan person controlling the votes. Come on, folks, wake up. Wake up. Eric Hayes says power of the purse balance it and essentially all will be okay. No, balanced budget will cause a recession at this point in time. I would suggest that you understand economics, and not only economics, but also understand sovereign currencies. Right now, we don't have to worry about balancing budgets at all. Let's see. Noel towards the let's see. Mike C6 says Democrats blocked emergency funding for Maui and other disaster areas unless billions were spent at Ukraine. Wow, they did something that's normal. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Do we need to revive Shirley Chisholm's plan? Oh, you just stumped me, Bruce. I'm going to have to look that up. I know she ran for president. Don't know what her plan is. I'll have to confess to you. And by the way, you notice when I don't know something, I say I don't know something. All right, British MCP says, Egberto Willis, Trump urges government shutdown in unlikely bid to defund his criminal prosecution. Former president has urged fellow Republicans in Congress to shut down the government to thwart the federal prosecutions against him, although any funding lapse was unlikely to stop the cases from being pursued. Republicans in the House of Representatives are at odds over how to proceed with spending legislation, which must be passed to avert a October 1 shutdown. A small group of hardliners, including Trump most fervent supporters, have complicated the agenda for House Speaker Kevin McCarthy as he pushes a short-term funding plan. Republicans in Congress can and must defund all aspects of crooked, weaponized government, Trump wrote on his Truth social media site late on Wednesday, calling it the last chance to defund these political prosecutions against me and other patriots. What a darn clown. All right, let's see. Bruce Pollard says, yeah, I read that one already. Bruce, you're going to have to teach. I'm going to have to look it up. I got to look that up. I don't know the answer. Mike C6 says Biden isn't enforcing the immigration law because he thinks it's inherently inequitable. And so, all right. Let's see. Egberto, most people are not doing well due to the current regime. Nope, most people are not doing well because of the past regimes and what we had to clean up. We're still trying to clean it up. Still trying to clean up his mess. Democrats are screwing over the Maui folks. Look, again, the numbers are irrefutable. Under Democrats, the economy does better. Not even debatable. It's not even, it is a statement of fact. All right, we have another video to show. And this kind of goes into the part with Rudden talking about the hypocrisy of the right. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side. I had a little bit of a video within a video that I did as well. Check this out. Eric Swalwell, once again, during the judiciary hearing for Merrick Garland, he caught Jim Jordan before Jim Jordan ran out of the room, knowing what was about to come. He annihilated Jim Jordan. Why? Because Jim Jordan and the cabal have the nerve to talk about folks who don't want to abide by a subpoena, etc., etc., etc. But guess what? Jim Jordan has not honored his subpoena at all when the January 6th Commission subpoenaed him. He just let it go. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Let's listen to Eric Swalwell here.
Mr. Attorney General, my colleague just said that you should be held in contempt of Congress. And that is quite rich because the guy who's leaving the hearing room right now, Mr. Jordan, is about 500 days into evading his subpoena. About 500 days. So if we're going to talk about contempt of Congress, let's get real. I mean, are you serious that Jim Jordan, a witness to one of the greatest crimes ever committed in America, a crime where more prosecutions have occurred than any crime committed in America, refuses to help his country, and we're going to get lectured about subpoena compliance and contempt of Congress? Jim Jordan won't even honor a lawful subpoena? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? There's no credibility on that side. Mr. Attorney General, you are serious. They are not. You are decent. They are not. You are fair. They are not. So I welcome you to the law firm of Insurrection LLP, where they work every single day on behalf of one client, Donald Trump. And they do that at the expense of millions of Americans who need the government to stay open, who want their kids safe in their schools, and would like to see Ukraine stay in the fight so that we don't help Russia. That's the expense that this nonsense, this clown show, I'd call it a clown show, except they actually have real responsibilities that affect real Americans. It's the difference between one side that believes in governing and one side that believes in ruling.
It is time for us to take things seriously and actually do what is right. And I think Eric Swalwell and many of these other Democrats did the right thing at the judiciary hearing. They used the Republicans thought that judiciary hearing was going to be successful for them for exposing a derelict justice system, a derelict Justice Department. And instead, Democrats were ready to use that platform to teach Americans, to show Americans the ineptitude and what these particular, I don't even want to call them Congress people, but what they actually did, what they're actually doing to harm the country. Absolutely. So what they're actually doing to harm the country. Let's say fact sheet. Biden-Harris administration latest action to support communities impacted by Maui wildfires. President Biden announced $95 million through the bipartisan infrastructure law to harden Hawaii's power grid and position the state to better withstand future storms. More than 1,000 federal personnel on the ground on Maui, Maui to aid response. I sit down and I listen to the entire panel, the judiciary hearing, and I don't understand. Again, I could look. Some of our conservatives in the room, they have faith in what Fox News is telling them. They have faith in what right-wing rags are telling them. But for somebody who knows the truth, like myself and many of you that are in the progressive realm, you sit down and you watch these guys with a lie after a lie, and you feel sorry for the people who trust them because they know they're lying. They know it. That's a funny thing. I've spoken to some of these guys. They know that they're lying. You know what's their answer many times? It is politics. This is politics. I remember going to a conference. I don't remember which one it was. It was a most of the conferences that I go to are either progressives or transpartisan. And I went to a transpartisan conference, and it's where I met this guy that's always on MSNBC. Before I got the interview with him, I can't remember. Bill Kristol. I met Bill Kristol at this conference. And I was talking to Bill Kristol about, and Bill Kristol is a very conservative dude. But ironically, he did think that, these guys have gone too far, etc. But I didn't go in too much detail with him because, like I said, I didn't feel, in talking to him, I didn't feel that ease that I have with many other of these, right-wing guys that are really willing to engage. I saw him as somebody that was scared to talk to progressives in that particular domain, because at that conference, I was way out there, But anyway, but I remember there, a Republican told me, if we don't do it, we won't get anybody. If we don't lie, our policies, which are business, he admits it. He said, we are a democratic country. And he made it clear that capitalism depended on not being a democratic country. He said that people and he was straight. It was amazing how straight he was. It was like, so what we have to do is we have to lie to people into supporting these policies. Again, Medicare for all. Somehow they teach you that you are getting a choice when you have private insurance and can pick between insurance A, B, and C. You just have a choice of who your enslaver is going to be, right? But they don't express it that way. They have to lie to you that tell you somehow it's efficient. You have to deny your ability to know math to think that somehow that can be efficient. And that's what he pointed out. He said, think about it, Egberto. If we go ahead and tell people that we believe, they genuinely believe that things need to work that way or else it doesn't work. They believe you have to have somebody on top making a bunch of money because that is going to give the incentive to keep things going. I mean, they really believe that, but they can't sell it because most people don't believe that. Most people know it's bull. It's just legalized theft. Most people know that. In their gut, they know that. So, I mean, they know what they're doing. But what gets to me is at their heart. I don't have the heart to lie to people. I just don't have the heart to lie. Just don't have the heart to lie. Because then what you get people that are so convinced, like a brother CSAC here, who will continue to vote against his own interests. There's not much that some of us can do to change some people that are so indoctrinated that when you talk, they're not really listening to critically think. They're listening to see what their comeback is going to be. I want more people to start thinking about critical thinking. And if we critically think, we generally end up at the same place because right is right for things that are that objective. I mean, they're gray area things, right? But for most of the things that involve people, it's rather simple. All right, let's see. Michael Rennes has already seen this on MSDNC, rant incoming again. What you have to understand about conservatives is that they have anti-government bias. If one of theirs is standing against what is perceived their bubbles as government tyranny, as let's say ROFL, as if coming for a subpoena to answer questions under oath is anywhere near a tyrannical state. Conservatives will cheer them on as freedom fighters. You have to remember that one man's freedom fighter is another man's terrorist. True, as they happened in January 6th, was rightfully seen as a domestic terrorist attack, which it was, against our government. All right, I got another video to show you guys. I'm not going to read all of this, you guys. I want to thank you for this great engagement that you guys have been given today. I love it. I love that engagement because this is not only for you. This is for other people to see. But here is the last video, and this one is about poverty with one of my progressive heroes, Jamaal Bowman. Representative Jamaal Bowman, he appeared with Jake Tapper on his show, and they were really tackling the child poverty that has gone up, that has more than doubled in the last year because, again, of policies passed entirely by policies not honored by the Republicans and Sinema and Manchin. In other words, we already know that poverty is a policy choice, and many in our Congress has chosen poverty as the policy choice. Listen to Bowman, and then we'll take it on the other side.
A sobering statistic from the U.S. Census Bureau shows that the child poverty rate in the United States has more than doubled in the last year, from 5.2% to 12.4%. Democratic New York Congressman Jamaal Bowman blames Congress for the rise, writing on X, formerly known as Twitter, quote, "Let me be very clear. Things like the child tax credit and SNAP reduce child poverty. By refusing to extend and expand these life-saving programs, Congress is complicit in this crisis." And Congressman Bowman joins us now. Congressman, good to have you on. It can be difficult to see the direct result of government policies on people's lives, but this seems pretty clear. The expanded child tax credit gave more money or tax credits to low-income families. After it took effect, child poverty dropped to record lows. Why did Congress let it run out?
Republicans let the child tax credit run out after Democrats cut child poverty in half by 50% in 2021. If we are not taking care of our children, we do not have a democracy. We do not have a society. When you see high child poverty, you see high levels of childhood trauma. You see high levels of children struggling with mental health and substance abuse, and you see higher levels of violence. So it is on us to do something about this issue once and for all, not year to year. We need to end child poverty in America once and for all.
Now, I spoke with Senator Bernie Sanders, who doesn't only blame Republicans for letting these programs expire. This is Sunday. Take a listen to what he had to say.
What we put in that tax credit that substantially lowered childhood poverty in America, we put that into the American Rescue Plan. We tried to put it back into so-called Build Back Better plan, which had zero Republican support and did not have the support of Mr. Manchin and Ms. Sinema.
Thank you.
So he's also saying that Manchin and Sinema were to blame.
That's exactly right. The cowardly way in which Manchin and Sinema continue to govern astonishes me. I come from education. I worked with the most vulnerable children in our country for 20 years before coming to Congress. And then I have two members of my own party in the Senate, not in the House. Democrats in the House did the right thing. Two members of my own party in the Senate vote against continuing to cut childhood poverty. They also voted against higher taxes for corporations. They also voted against and didn't support a higher minimum wage. So when you have Democrats not supporting the most vulnerable, you really have elected officials who have lost their way. And we lost the reason why we were brought here and voted into Congress in the first place, to do the work for the people, not our own pockets and not the wealthiest among us.
We need more Congress people like Bowman. We need to elect more Congress people like Bowman, because they're at the grassroots. They understand what poverty looks like. They understand. They're not like Manchin, who said he didn't want to resign and re-enlist this bill because poor people were going to use it to buy liquor or something else, right? That is how they genuinely feel about poor people. They don't see poor people as something created by the state, by what they've allowed the private sector to do to an economy. They don't look at it as a problem within the economic system proper that creates poverty, and that's something government should do something about, given how the economic system functions. Again, the economic system was designed to have people in poverty. There are specific reasons why there are people in poverty. You know, when inflation was going up, what was the solution that Powell, the chair of the Fed, say? What did he say he had to do to control inflation? He said they need to create above 4% unemployment rate. Again, understand what that means. They're telling you that there's an economic system where people must be unemployed for it to be successful. That's a failed economic system. And those are the kinds of things that we speak about. There are economic systems we can choose to design that doesn't allow that. But what it means is that those folks that are monopolizing on capital, the people who have $1 billion, 10 billions, all these billions that are unearned, the economic system has to be retailored so that cannot occur. Again, they didn't make that. They didn't create that. That is money that was legally stolen. It's hard to accept that is what our economic system does, but that is what our economic system, that is what the outcome of this economic system. There is absolutely no doubt to that. And I want to put what Breach put on the screen. And Eric, don't embarrass yourself with not being able to critically think. Under the Democrats and the policies they passed, the childhood poverty dropped by over 50%. As soon as we reinstituted the policies, by whom? By Republicans, means we are no longer going to give tax credit to the poor. Then it zoomed back up. So therefore, who caused the poverty? Think. It doesn't take much thinking to see it. Now, check out what Breach gave me to put on the screen. It's on the screen. Republicans vote tracker since President Biden took office. 100% voted against cheaper gas. 100%. I can do this real fast. 100% voted against cheaper gas. 100% voted against cheaper insulin. 100% voted against cheaper drugs. 100% voted against child tax credits. 100% voted against student debt relief. 100% voted against the Voting Rights Act. 100% voted against ending gerrymandering. 100% voted against fighting climate change. 100% voted against prosecuting rich cheats. 100% voted against saving Roe versus Wade. 100% voted against veterans' health care. 100% voted against expelling and George Santos. 99% voted against banning war weapons. 99% voted against fighting domestic terrorism. 96% voted against background checks. 96% voted against keeping birth control legal. 94% voted against new roads and bridges. 87% voted against stopping domestic violence. 84% voted against veteran cancer care. And 68% voted against upholding the election. Again, these are verifiable, statistically known data. Okay? Go look it up if you don't believe it. Go look it up. But that is who those people who are proud of that record. I want you to see what your party stands for. Anyway, we got to get out of here. So I need to ask you a very important thing. Please support our program. How can you best support our program? Please go to politicsdoneright.com/support. politicsdoneright.com/support. I'm going to put that on the screen right in the chat right now. politicsdoneright.com/support, and it gives you all the different ways in which you can keep our program viable. The other ask that I have of you is to please become a paid subscriber of our newsletter. That is how we will be able to keep this stuff going. I need over 1,000 subscribers. I don't have that. I don't even have 10% of that yet. So please consider subscribing to our newsletter if you have the wherewithal to do so. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Let me tell you, you're not just getting the newsletter. All of the books that I write will be on Substack, where my newsletter is. All of my books will be there. Currently, there are 2 books there. I currently have 5 books out. I have 3 books that I'm writing right now. Please go ahead and subscribe to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. And do remember, every book that I write, as long as you're a subscriber, you can read it online. You don't have to go to Amazon or anything like that. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. My name is Egberto Willies. I want to thank you all for being here, spending this time with me. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? What am I again? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to hear your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.